Hey guys, it's Cameron. Now today we're going to be doing a bit of a review on this lovely little flash. Now there's a little bit of backstory behind this flash. Originally I got the Yongnuo 560 Mark IV, which is quite a popular flash on YouTube. Now I'm not going to slate that flash, I'm not going to say it's not very good, but let's say the reason I got this one was because I had to take the Yongnuo back because the power settings wouldn't change. It had a bit of an error with it. That's not to say there's a problem with that flash, it's probably a great flash, just the one that I had wasn't very good and I needed one quite quickly. So I went and picked up this lovely little flash. So if we're talking about positives, the flash has a nice 360-degree swivel head, so it turns all the way around, which is great when you're at events and you want to bounce your light off a nice white wall or a nice clean neutral surface. So that's kind of handy. It's got ETTL and TTL modes, so ETTL for Canon and TTL for Nikon. Bearing in mind this is only a Canon and Nikon flash, it does have a little mount there for both, it's universal. Now when we're talking about ETTL, a lot of photographers would say totally terrible lighting because it's not very good, and in this particular camera I agree. It doesn't work very well, and a lot of the time at events it'll overexpose or underexpose the photos because it doesn't know how high the ceiling is that you're bouncing the flash off. It doesn't know what type of modifier you're using or if you're using a modifier, so it's not great. So in terms of the TTL and ETTL, I didn't expect it to be great in the first place, it's not. So it has a guide number of 58. If you don't know what the guide number is, it's basically a kind of ratio / equation that takes into account the distance at which you can light up a subject and the f-stop as well, so it's kind of a timesing those two values together. So this has a guide number of 58, which is very good. Sort of cheap flashes come in at a guide number around about 30, something like this, so a nice guide number of 58 is pretty decent for the price point. This flash comes in at £100, so that's very good. So one of the main reasons that I got this flash is that it has high-speed sync. If you don't know what high-speed sync is, I'll give you a really quick explanation. Basically your camera has a sync speed at which it can operate its flash. So most cameras are around about 1/250th of a second, 1/200th of a second, something like that. High-speed sync basically would allow you to go up to 1/8000th of a second shutter speed. So what would happen if you had a flash that didn't have high-speed sync? Basically what would happen is when you pass your camera's native sync speed, you get sort of a black line across the screen. You may have took a picture before and you notice that half the picture is black and half the picture is a nice brightly exposed image. The reason for that is you basically just pass the camera's native ability to sync the flash to the shutter speed of the camera. So in terms of power, the way this flash is powered is just in the side here. There's a little door and inside there is 4 AA batteries. Now what you should do is get yourself 4 AA rechargeable batteries. So every single time I go to an event I recharge those batteries, and they won't last me an entire gig, so I make sure that I have more and more batteries with me just in case you will run out eventually of power. Now again, on the theme of that power, if we're talking about recycle time for the flash, it's about 2.3 seconds. That's what the specifications from Kenro say, and I'd say that's about correct. So it is about 2.3 seconds, something like that, 2 seconds, 2-3 seconds, I don't know, something like that. But it's pretty quick, and that's at full power, so that's at your 1/1 power. So in terms of zoom on the flash, which you may want to change if you're changed to a different lens that has a different focal length, there's just a little button in the corner of the flash, and with these little right and left arrows here you can just change that zoom, and that's the little noise there, which is just that zoom going up and down. So it goes all the way from 18 up to 180mm, which is again relatively standard on a flash. So in terms of modes on the flash, if we just go through them now, so we've got ETTL, which is your Canon TTL, we've got ITTL, we've got your manual. Manual is basically what you'd use if you're in a studio because none of the lighting is changing. You've got slave 1, you've got slave 2, which basically is an optical slave. So when a flash fires either from your camera, so your on-body flash, this basically senses that flash and fires as well. So it changes the power rating all the way from 1/128 to 1/1, which is again very standard for a flash. So the flash comes with a nice built-in bounce card, you can see that on the top here. Basically you never want to point a flash directly at someone. It flattens out their face, it flattens out the light and all the shadows on that person's face, and it can also really overexpose them, so it's not a very good idea. So you would bounce your light off the little bounce card there, or off a surface or a wall somewhere. As a standard thing, it comes with a nice little diffuser modifier that goes on the end there, which is very standard in terms of flashes. I've lost it. So it also comes with a nice little stand here, and that just goes on the shoe of the flash just down here, and then you just turn this little lock to secure that on there. So for example, if you're using slave mode and you didn't have a nice lighting stand to put your flash on, you could put it on this nice little stand here. In fact, in order to put it on a lighting stand, you need this little stand because on the bottom of there it has the little tripod mount. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got a little quarter tripod mount just on the bottom there. Another really cool feature about this flash is its nice backlight. So if you're in the dark and you can't really see your screen, or it's a really bright sunny day and you're struggling to see what's on there and you're wanting to change your settings, if you press this little button in the corner, it has a nice little illuminated backlight so you can see the screen. Now onto the negatives with the flash, and this isn't kind of a major negative, but it is something that may affect you if you are a working photographer. It doesn't have a locking system, so a lot of the really expensive flashes, the higher end flashes, have a lock, which basically locks all the features on the flash so you don't accidentally knock something once you've dialed in your settings. This can be a particular problem if you're doing event photography. So for example, about 6 months ago, I was doing an event and I had this flash with me, and I don't know what happened, but I knocked something on the flash and it freaked out and it stopped working, and it was just not doing the correct power settings that I liked. I don't know what was happening with it, and I was clicking buttons trying to fix it and I couldn't fix it, so I ended up having to use my on-camera flash, which I've never ever had to do before. If you're a photographer, you know that's a really bad idea. It doesn't work. I had to kind of use a card on the top of the camera to bounce it off a wall surface. It worked out, but it wasn't great. So this is a bit of an issue. If it doesn't have a lock on the flash, you're probably going to end up knocking some buttons at some point in your life, and you're going to have a real faff trying to get back to your original setting. So I think that's partially just about knowing your way around your flash, but also it's a bit of a problem with the flash itself. It should have a nice little lock on there. I'm not going to slate it massively because, you know, this is a £100 flash. We're not talking like Canon's £500 flashes, but it is a little bit of an issue there. So another negative with this flash, which again is quite standard with flashes, it's quite bright. So it has a little red light here that shines every so often, and basically what this does is it's just sensing the light coming in for when you're using one of the slave modes. The kind of issue with this is, if you've got your flash on a lighting stand somewhere in the room, it's not inside some special modifier, it's just on a lighting stand, and you're taking a picture, a lot of the time onto the model, the subject's face, the object you're shooting, whatever it is, you'll get this little horrible red grid shining on the face. So you think you've shot the perfect shot, you think you've got it, and then you realise that it's shot this horrible red grid onto the face. It's a bit of an issue, and it's not crazy, it's not massive, it doesn't happen all the time, but it is an issue that does crop up every so often. So I guess the kind of summary to this video is, would I buy that flash? Would I recommend that flash to someone else? The simple answer is yes. It's a really good flash and it works really, really well. It's got a nice high power rating, the settings are nice and easy to change. However, it does have that bit of an issue where you can't lock the features, which for someone who's in event photography, that might be a bit of an issue, and you may want to go for one of Canon's flashes. But again, that's in terms of budget, and it's whether you have the budget to get that flash. So simple answer, yes, I'd get the flash. It's a great flash. That is the Kenro Speedflash. Now guys, as you can see, this channel is relatively new, so please do like and subscribe if you can, and do support the channel. Put a comment down below if you think there was a bit of a problem with the video, or there's something that you like changing, and I'll see if I can fix that. If you'd like a certain item reviewed or something like that, just let me know down below in the comments. But thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. See you guys, bye bye!